All right, hello. Oh boy, we got people in here already, I think. Let me get set up here so I can see the chat and we'll get started. If this is your first time here, this is a weekly live broadcast I do most of the time on Thursday evenings, 7 o'clock. Occasionally life gets in the way, but most of the time I'm good to go. And hang on a second here. Sorry, I can't talk and do two things at the same time. I think we're getting ready to go. So anyway, let me just get a couple of things out of the way here real quick. We'll get into this. This is not a planned topic. I do this, like, again, every Thursday night for the most part, 7 o'clock Central Time. Come in here, ask your questions, interact with me. It's pretty much just an ask me anything kind of session. I let the chat kind of drive the way that the live broadcast is going to go. So that's kind of how it's set up if this is your first time here. So let's get right into it. We got Newman, hello to you, and Lazarenko from Sacramento. Got a quick question. Well, let's hear your question. I'll see if I can answer it. Cousins, hello to you. Baby Coco, hello. I'm doing well. The rabbits and birds are doing fine, thanks. And Newman again, hello. All right, so we got a quick question coming, but it's not up here yet for me to answer. I do remember you, Cousins. I do. It's been a little while, I think, since you've been in, but yeah, I remember you. Hey, Kelly's here, says, good evening to Chris and the rest of my slightly rednecked friends. Good evening to all of you. I should have named my channel something more creative, I guess. I just felt like slightly rednecked kind of described me. You guys can see I just came straight from work. Just got home from work 15 minutes ago, so I'm still in work clothes today. So dressed up a little more than I usually am. All right. Well, while we're waiting on the chat to catch up, let's see. I do have a good joke for you guys. It's a short one this time. So if you want to hear a joke, let's see, how does it go? Oh, you know why you can't play cards in the jungle? Too many cheetahs. Okay, it's kind of corny. All right, Newman says, let's see, I bought 11 quail, 2 roosters, 9 hens. I found them with blood closed-eyed. I've made smaller groups. Can I put them back together? Okay. All right, so what you're describing is very, very common in quail, especially when you mix them together, new birds in with old birds that are all familiar with each other. And that's what happens usually. The hens are the ones that are usually doing it, and they're going after the eyes of the males and pecking on them. You said, and you found them with blood closed eyes. Okay, that's my guess, is that they're just trying to establish dominance. Now, if you've separated them out and put them back together, it's probably going to happen all over again. There's not an easy way to get them to acclimate. Now, it depends on a little bit on what kind of birds they are. I've noticed that aggression seems to be a little bit worse in the white birds, the Italians and the tuxedos and those things, than it does in just the standard color brown birds. They seem to get along a little bit better, but yeah, it's difficult to mix birds together. And again, if you've separated them out, it's not a bad idea, giving them time to heal. But when you put them back together, it's probably going to happen all over again, and you may just have to wait it out. If you've got some kind of cage divider you can put in there that's made of wire that would keep the birds separate, where they could get to each other, but not really to each other, if that makes sense. That might help them acclimate just a little bit before you kind of let them all, go back together. But again, expect some fighting when they get back together. It's just the way they are, unfortunately. All right, where are we at here? Baby Coco says, are the baby birds good? Yeah, they're doing pretty well. Let's see, I don't know how many are in there. Every once in a while you look in there and you're like, oh, that one doesn't look so good. And then you bang on the side of the brooder box or something, and they just jump up and run around. I was just watching one right now. It has birds walking all over him, and I thought, uh-oh, maybe he died. And then another bird stepped on him, and he just popped right up like nothing was wrong. So, weird little birds, but they're doing fine. All right, Romy's from Puerto Rico. Hello to you. Newman says, can I get rid of the dominant hen? Will it fix the problem? It may fix the problem. It's not a bad idea. If you know that there's one hen in particular that's doing the aggression, that's being the most aggressive, getting rid of her, it could solve your problem. You may have another one move into her place. But a lot of the times that real aggression, that real aggressive behavior, I should say, is kind of pinpointed to one bird in particular. It seems to be like a genetic thing, and it's not a bad idea to go ahead and remove that from your flock if you know which bird it is. Hopefully that helps a little bit. All right, Allison says, I have a doe rabbit that has a large abscess on her tummy. Have you ever heard of that? Any tips how to help her? Okay. Could be a few things. First of all, you want to make sure it's not a botfly. I don't know how big the abscess is on her belly, but look up, botfly and rabbits. You'll be able to see some pictures on Google, do some comparisons. If it is a botfly, it's not that hard to get rid of. Don't freak out about it. It'll be okay. But if it's not a botfly, then it's probably, like you said, some kind of abscess, some kind of infection of some kind. Depending on what kind, I mean, there's numerous different kinds. It's hard to know for sure. Depending on what kind, you may need to treat it with some kind of antibiotic to get the infection to clear up. Make sure you don't use an antibiotic ointment that has any kind of painkiller in it. Painkillers can be toxic to rabbits, but you could just use like a Neosporin type, triple antibiotic ointment. You'll probably have to lance it, open it up, remove. It'll be nasty, really nasty. Remove all that stuff from inside, whatever is in there, and then treat it with some antibiotic ointment and keep it clean. And that's really the best advice I've got for you. So hopefully that helps. All right, so, you've given me further detail on it. You say, I think it's an abscess. It's a large lump like where her belly button is. That far down, then probably, you may be right. Again, it could be a botfly. Look that up. If it is a botfly, they're pretty easy to treat too. So anyway, again, hope that helps. I wish I had a better explanation for you or a better solution, but that's really about all there is to it. All right, Walter Camp says, sorry, couldn't make the last couple of weeks. 84 hours one week, 56 hours the next week. My goodness, you've been working hard, Walter. Hey, no, I'm not offended by it at all. Join when you can. We're happy to have you. If you can't make it, it's okay. There's times where I have to skip the live broadcast, and I'm the one hosting it, so I'm not going to hold you guys accountable for it. All right, excuse me. All right, Kelly says, it is seeming that it is just a lot easier to stick jumbo browns and avoid all the others. It is about meat and raising. It is simple as possible. Would you agree or disagree with this statement? Okay, it's seeming that it is a lot easier to stick with jumbo browns, okay, and avoid all the others. I'm thinking the same thing, Kelly. I'm actually contemplating getting rid of my silvers and just sticking with jumbo pharaohs. I don't see any reason to raise anything else. I mean, they produce like crazy. They're big birds. They don't have the aggression problems that some of the other birds, in my experience anyway. And I don't know. There just seem to be an all-around better bird. The best thing to me is that you can just look at them and visually tell which one's a male, which one's a female, just by looking at them. And that's a huge benefit in my book. I hate having to vent sex birds. It's just such a pain. And being able to just look at them and know is so much easier. So anyway, yeah, I'm thinking the same thing, and you guys may see no more of the silvers coming up pretty quick. I may just switch right over to jumbo pharaohs and just nothing but jumbo pharaohs. All right, where are we at here? I missed some questions, I think. Romy, I think, says, okay, yeah, Romy, there we go. I have a question. If I want to put along my 5 biggest hens with my 5 biggest roosters for 5 days breeding, when do I move them back with the others? They will be beat. Yeah, I wouldn't move 5 hens in with 5 roosters. If I want to put along my 5 biggest hens with my biggest rooster. Oh, your biggest rooster, one biggest rooster. Okay, that makes more sense. Sorry, I had to reread that. Been a long day, excuse me. Okay, if you want to put them together to breed, you probably don't need more than like 2 days, maybe 3 at the most, and he's going to breed all of them. And you're not going to have to worry about any of them not being bred. You can put them back together at that point. Yeah, that's really it. I don't know that there's much else to it. Hope that helps. All right, Russell says, I have the brown ones, look like a roux, but all eggs are infertile, and I have 3 birds, and one day I get 2 eggs, the next day I get 3 eggs. Could it possibly be 3 hens? It could be. You have 3 birds, one day I get, okay, I have the browns. One looks like a roux, but all eggs are infertile. Okay. All right, yes, it could possibly be a hen. It could be that you don't have enough light. They need 14 hours a day of light before the roosters will go into breeding mode and want to start breeding the hens. Let me turn this light a little bit here. Speaking of light, see if I can turn it a little bit and get more light on me. See if that helps out a little. If I don't knock it over. All right, I think, we're okay. So again, back to light. 14 hours a day of light for the hens to lay eggs on a consistent basis, 14 hours a day for the roosters to go into breeding mode. If you have 14 hours a day, you're getting a couple of eggs. You said 2 eggs, the next day you get 3 eggs. You know, it very well may be that you have 3 hens. If you've never heard it crow, that's a pretty good indicator it's not a rooster. Roosters do like to crow. So, yeah, you may have 3 hens. Hard to say for sure. All right, Kelly says, well, eggs as well as meat, but getting the most meat and egg with the least effort and cost. I think you're referring back to about keeping jumbo browns. Yeah, I think the jumbo browns are the best producers too. The chicks just do so much better. They grow out so much faster. They're up to butcher size in like 8 weeks at the most. They're laying eggs usually by 6 to 7, sometimes 8 weeks, but right around in there. And yeah, you get the most eggs, most meat, least amount of effort. Just all around the best birds in my opinion. All right. All right, Baby Coco wants to know which breeds is my favorite. I don't know if you're talking about birds or rabbits, but I think I kind of already answered that for the quail. So let's talk about rabbits. My favorite, I think it's got to be New Zealand whites. I've just had the best experience with New Zealand whites. Californias are pretty close. I did like the silver fox I had, but really as far as good meat rabbits go, it's hard to beat a purebred New Zealand white. They just are the absolute best. Not necessarily the kindest, the easiest to handle all the time, but they seem to be the best producers in my book. All right, Newman says, true, very true. My dominant hen is actually the silver one, and I've never seen something wrong with the browns. Yeah, my browns get along way better than the silvers do. Russell says, if you want to get rid of your silvers, do you ship and what you charge? Oh, well, honestly, I don't ship birds. I don't ship eggs even, really. I'm not NPIP certified. I'm just not set up to be a commercial quail operator. I don't sell birds on a regular basis. I do sell some birds from time to time, usually through Craigslist whenever I sell them. These are a couple of years old, so they're probably, I would sell them, they're getting closer to the end of their productive cycle, if that makes sense. So I would probably sell them for like $4 a piece if I were to sell them. I'll probably just end up putting them in the freezer, honestly. I don't know that it's worth shipping them off to somebody else to get very limited production out of them. So anyway. Sorry, I'd be happy to sell some. I actually have a couple of chicks in the brooder right now that are going to be silvers, but again, I don't ship. So if you're anywhere near Joplin, Missouri, and you're looking for them, let me know. We can work something out. But other than that, sorry, I can't help too much. But if you are looking for silver eggs, Kansas City Quail Farm does have silvers, and you can order the eggs as many as you want. All right. Colleen Parrish says, just a heads up, if you breed rabbits in summer, sometimes your baby can always drink out of a nipple system. So if you add a small crock, it could help in heat. Oh, you can't always drink out of a nipple system. So if you add a small crock, it could help in heat. Okay, that's a good point there, Colleen. I've never found it necessary to add a crock of water in the summertime. I think the babies get plenty of their moisture from their mother whenever she's feeding. And then they just kind of learn to drink out of that watering system pretty quick, honestly. About the time that they're getting up and getting out of the nest box, they're about ready to start learning to drink out of the water system. But it's not a bad idea to go ahead and add some additional water just to be on the safe side. Never been a problem for me, but it's a good idea. All right, Frederick says, please, do you sell the vitamins that help quails to lay eggs? Well, Frederick, I wouldn't buy into vitamins helping quail lay eggs. As long as you're feeding them a pretty balanced diet, then you shouldn't have to add anything else to get them to lay eggs. Usually if they're not laying eggs, again, it goes back to light. 14 hours a day of light, that's the most common thing. If they don't have 14 hours a day of light, they're just not going to lay consistently. And that's all there is to it. Let's see what else. Moving. If you had them, like some kind of recent stress factor, like you moved them to a new location, that can stress them out, cause them to stop laying eggs for a couple of weeks. But most of the time, it's the light. I don't think that you would really look for any kind of specific vitamins to give them. I think that honestly, unless your feed is lacking in something, I think most of the time that's kind of a scam, and it's just money-making deal for somebody, but not, not for you. All right. Kinsey says, how are you doing, Chris? Hope all is well with you. It is. Thank you very much, Kinsey. Hope you're doing well as well. Kay Adler says, how many eggs do you get a day? Well, right now I'm getting probably, I don't know, 15 or 20 a day on a pretty regular basis. I don't count them exactly, but it's got to be pretty close to that. Probably closer to 20 a day. All right, Tom Wolf says, hey, Chris, do you put a small crock of pellets in the cage for the babies at 3 or 4 weeks that can't reach the feeder except to sit in it and eat? I don't mess with that either. I just let them get in the feeder and eat if they want to. I don't find that it's a big issue. That's just my opinion. Kinsey says, I'm locking down 71 eggs tomorrow. I'm excited. Well, good luck with your hatch, Kinsey. I hope it goes well. Good luck. Russell says, I'm in Wisconsin, LOL. I love the golds and the silvers. The gold and the silver quail. Nothing wrong with them. If you like them, that's fine. And if you guys watched my last video on the best type of quail to keep, I kind of like them too. That's why I have some silvers. But, it's kind of like, like the Queen song that, their beauty and their style goes kind of smooth after a while. I won't sing the rest of it for you. And that wasn't even really singing, but you get my point. It's just kind of after a while, it's just kind of like, they're kind of normal now. And just with the problems you have with them, and I shouldn't say problems, but they are more aggressive. And, the lack of problems you have with the browns, I'm thinking about going with all browns. That's just my thoughts on it. But I'm not judging anybody for having other colored egg or other colored birds around. Whatever you like, it's fine. They're perfectly all right. I'm not saying you shouldn't keep them. All right, Kinsey says, what can I do to prevent splayed legs? Okay, a couple of things can cause splayed legs. It can be a genetic defect in the bird, and if that's the case, there's not much you can do about it. You're better off culling those birds out anyway, so not passing on their genes. More often than not, it's usually caused by lack of traction, so like some kind of slippery surface in either the incubator or the brooder box. It's usually in the brooder box where it happens. So if you're getting a lot of splayed leg, look at what you're using for flooring in your brooder box. If you're using something that's slick, they can't get good traction on, like newspaper or something like that, then you might want to change it out. I use paper towels right now, and they work pretty well. I haven't had any issues really with splayed leg. But those are the two most common things. So that's what you're going to want to look at to kind of fix splayed leg. Where are we at here? All right, Newman says, it's 2 a.m. right here, so need to sleep to grow. Have a nice day and night. Well, Newman, thank you for staying up late and joining us in the live broadcast. Appreciate that. I hope you have a great evening and sleep well. Baby Coco says, Chris, how you feel when you get a hamster? How you feel when you get, is that a question? How do I feel when I get a hamster? I haven't had a hamster in a very long time. And honestly, the last one I got was a very mean one that I got from a pet store for free. And it was a snake food. It's when I had snakes. That was 25 years ago. And but no, I haven't had a hamster in a long time. I like hamsters just fine. They're kind of neat little creatures. But to me, they're the worst about biting. I'd much rather have a rat than a hamster. But that's just my opinion. All right, Armed American says Great Pyrenees puppies will be available 3 months mid-November. Oh, so Armed American has some Great Pyrenees puppies that you're going to be selling, I would assume, in mid-November. Great dogs. If you live in an area where you have a little bit of land and any kind of livestock, it's almost a must. Have a Great Pyrenees around. They're fantastic livestock guardian dogs. Just great. I don't, and I've already got a dog, so he's actually laying here behind me. I think he's off camera. You guys can't see him. He's laying here just watching the baby quail. We'll have to get a shot of that here. I'll show you guys. There he is, laying there watching the baby quail in the brooder box. All right. Sorry, shaky camera there. All right, so where are we at here? Chris Arnold says, I'm keeping my quail in my lean-to on the side of my garage. Will 2 LED bar lights be enough light for them to lay once they are old enough to lay? They should be plenty. If it's on the side of your garage and it's outside, they're going to get daylight all day long. So you only need that light for a couple of hours in the evening maybe. And that's as the days start to get shorter. So the, what was I going to say about that? Oh, so yeah, 2 LED bar lights should be plenty. I would just say position them directly over the cage. When I had the quail in the garage, it was pretty shaded, pretty dark. And I tried putting the lights, just the upper lights of the garage itself. It wasn't enough light for the lower cage because it was underneath the other cage, so it just kind of stayed dark. So I had to put a light on top of that cage, and you really want the light right on him. That will help a lot. Make sure he's not getting into anything. All right, Crips USMC says, Chris, I appreciate all the knowledge I've gained from your channel. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that you're finding the videos helpful and useful. Marsha Wood says, I'm having bob-white chicks with swelling eyes, and if I wipe them, clear fluid comes out. Any suggestions? Boy, Marsha, that's got to be a new one for me. I don't know that I've ever seen that, but conjunctivitis kind of comes to mind. Trying to think. I would say that would probably be, you might start with, this would be a time where you might start with adding some like electrolytes and some of those kinds of things to their watering system. Give them a little bit of boost in their immune system. As far as what's causing it, it could be caused by what you're using as bedding. I don't know what you're using as bedding, but if it's real dusty, that might be irritating. That might be causing some problems with them. Other than that, it may be some kind of bacterial infection too. I don't think I've ever really had that problem with any of my birds. So, unless they're fighting and one of them is pecking the other one's eyes and causing it to, swell up like that, and that may be the problem. But other than that, I'm not sure what else would cause it. Kelly says, dog watches baby quail, in quote marks, would be an excellent clickbait to help build the channel. Do it. Good idea. I'm not really into clickbait type stuff myself, but you're a good idea. I should do that. And then we just have a 10-minute video of the dog sitting there staring at the quail and not moving. So that would be boring video, but it would be funny. All right, Armed American says, barbecued hamster riblets are delicious. I can't imagine there's anywhere enough meat on a hamster to mess with barbecuing it, but who knows? I imagine if you did, it would be good. It'd probably be similar to squirrel. Squirrel's really good, but who knows? Michelle Richards is here, says, glad I was able to catch you tonight. Was that the same dog that ate the quail some time back? Maybe allergy to something? Oh, no, that wasn't the dog that ate the quail. That was several years ago. The dog that ate the quail, she's gone now. She was old, and that's why I've got a new dog. But yeah, it was when I had them in the garage, and she had them, she had tore through one of their cages and ate like 12 of them. There were 12 grow outs that were going to go to the freezer the next weekend, and she ate 12 of them in one day. She was a big dog. All right, Baby Coco the hamster says, don't eat hamsters. I'm not eating hamsters. Hello Shots Games says, hi, hello to you. Armored American says, manure buildup causes eye draining and swelling. Okay, that could be the issue too. If your brooder box, you said they're chicks, so I'm assuming they're still in the brooder. If it's really dirty, that could add to it as well. Good, thanks for chiming in there, Armed American. Appreciate that. I don't know that I have other suggestions on that though. All right, let's see how many people we got in here, because chat's slowing down a little bit. We got 28 people, 29 people now, 30 now. Boy, it's just jumping up all of a sudden. I'm going to give it a minute for you guys to catch up to me in the chat. I always say this, I should plan some kind of topic out to discuss whenever the chat slows down. Usually it's not an issue, but occasionally it is, and I'm just sitting here kind of left with, oh crap, what do I talk about now? So Kira Neko says, this channel was so cool and helpful. Well, thank you so much, Kira. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you found it helpful. I think I remember some of your comments that I responded to just a day or two ago. Baby Coco says, I'm only 12 and I hate to see dead hamsters. Well, I don't like to see dead hamsters either, but there's a lot of things that I don't like to see dead rabbits, but I still eat rabbit. And, it's just part of life, unfortunately. Max, come here. Come in. Down. Good boy. Sorry, I had to get the dog under control. Him and I are hanging in here together tonight. He's getting bored. All right, where we at here? Walter Camp says, light system update. Okay, the light that I'm working on and hopefully be able to bring to market here soon, it'll probably be a month or two, and I'm going to have to do a Kickstarter or something like that to get the funding for the first order, because it's expensive. You got to order multiple units. I can't just order like a handful of them, and it's a brand new product, so they have to start from scratch kind of. But I do have a prototype right now, not quite ideal just yet. I had to send some suggestions back to the company to make some changes. They're sending me an updated one. Supposed to be by the end of next week. We'll see if that happens, and then I'll get that tested out, and if that's all good, then keep an eye out. I should have some kind of video GoFundMe, well, probably not GoFundMe, but probably Kickstarter or something like that, up soon, showing it off, showing what it can do, and then how you can order one. And even if you guys don't want one, I ask that you just help me out with that, in the sense of sharing that around to all your friends that have backyard chickens or backyard quail or any of that kind of stuff, because I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited, looking forward to it. But man, it takes forever to get this stuff underway. It's just so much back and forth. Nope, don't want it like that. I want it like this. Anyway, hopefully we're getting close. All right, Marshall Wood says, these are about a week old and I clean them every 2 days, and I'm using the recycled crumbled paper I get from Tractor Supply. What do you suggest for bedding? Well, until they feather out and can go out to the cages, I just use paper towel. I just lay paper towel on the bottom of the brooder, fold it all up, throw it away, replace it about every day. And usually about the first week I can get away with like 3 or 4 days, and then change it out. And then after that, it's pretty much every day. That's what I use for bedding. I don't know if that paper is very dusty, but if it is very dusty, like it may have lots of little pieces in it when they go kicking around, blows up some dust, and that may cause the problems with their eyes too. All right, so where are we at here? There's about a week old. Okay, Rebecca says, since you practice self-sufficiency in your life, are you also a frugal grocery shopper? I'm not as good at being frugal as I should be. I like to eat well, so whenever I go to the grocery store, I tend to go for kind of fancy stuff. I wouldn't say that I spend just crazy, amounts of money at the grocery store, but I'm not nearly as frugal as I should be. I'm going to have to tighten up the budget a little bit. Bills are getting a little bit tighter, so we've got a couple of new bills come in. My wife had surgery a while back. We got to pay off that medical expense, and a couple of things. We're not like bankrupt. I'm not trying to put a pity party on myself or anything like that. But yeah, I got to get better at being more frugal, so I'm working on it. All right, Jesse Jackson says, have you added light to your quail cages yet? I don't have any lights going on them right now. It's just I haven't found it necessary. They're getting enough light to continue laying on a regular basis. I'll probably be adding the lights within the next couple of weeks. Who knows exactly. Whenever I need more eggs, I'll start adding light to make sure that they stay laying. We'll see. All right. All right. Baby Coco says, rabbit's meat. I don't know, how is it? Well, believe it or not, it's very similar to chicken. They're a lot leaner than chicken, so you're not going to have the fat. And they honestly take on the flavor of pretty much whatever you cook them with. So I like to season a lot and use some kind of sauce when I cook it. But it's very good. It's just not, like I said, not a real fatty meat. And if you don't cook it right, rabbit's really more about like low and slow kind of temperature. It's not good to fry, in my opinion. It comes out a little bit tough, difficult to eat. Oh, somebody's home. If you fry it, so it does better when you bake it. Broil it. Max, hush. Or put it in the pressure cooker. So those are some things. Hang on one second, guys. We gotta let the dog out. Okay, wife made it home and he was excited. He had to go say hi. All right, where are we at here? We added light to the quail, rabbit me. Okay, there we go. Jonathan says, hey, you miss me. We always miss you when you're not here. Pam Beecher says, hi, Chris. You're the best man. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Armed American says, tell them to try Swifty's Seafood Shack in Georgetown, South Carolina. They will wake up wanting to brush their teeth with Swifty's sauce. Yeah, how's that going? Hopefully it's going well, Armed American. If you guys don't know, Armed American's been in the live broadcast and part of the channel for quite a while. Was running a poultry operation for a while, closed that down, and opened up a seafood restaurant in Georgetown, South Carolina. So if you're in the area, stop by and see him and give us a report back on how it is. All right, Pam Beecher, I don't know how, is that Beecher? Beecher? I don't know what that is. Oh, I bet that stands for Dominican Republic. So that would be, I can't pronounce your name, unfortunately. Says, when are you coming to the Dominican Republic? I'm going to be down there probably the week of September 15th, something like that. So I don't know, Pam, do I know you? Do you work with me somewhere? Oh, it's Luis. Okay, didn't recognize the name. There we go. Okay, well, Luis, thanks for joining here. I appreciate you coming into the live broadcast and hanging out with us. I'll be down there in a couple of weeks, so we can talk about this when I get down there. Like I said, the week of September 15th, I think is what it looks like. Not confirmed yet, but probably. All right, Samuel says, Sam and Vicky from Powell, Missouri, one of my favorite places in the world, said we had a 90% hatch rate our first attempt. Many thanks to you for our success. That's fantastic, 90% hatch rate. Very nice. Congratulations and job well done. I'm glad I could give you a little bit of advice on it, but you did the work and you deserve the credit for it, so nicely done. All right, Baby Coco says, Chris, do a live video while you are at work, like with the baby birds. Work like, oh, well, when I'm working with the baby birds, well, there's not much to do with the baby birds. I mean, I just got to change their water and their feed out, and that's pretty much it. So I don't know. I think that'd be kind of a boring live video, but who knows? Maybe we'll do that. Other than that, I mean, while I'm at work, I don't work with birds at work, so that would be a really boring live video. Trust me. All right. Where are we at here? Why do you try to... Oh, there we go. Jonathan says, why would a doe try to breed my buck? She already had kids. Okay. What you're seeing there is probably more like a dominance behavior. It's not that she's trying to breed the buck. She's just trying to assert her dominance over them. Females can be incredibly territorial, very dominant, and it's not uncommon at all. Usually if you just give them a little bit of time, they'll get over that. All right, Gear says, does that company design the light system for you? I'm a sophomore engineering student. I would like to help. Well, hey, I appreciate that. They're not designing it for me. I gave them the design. They're just going to be making it for me. And it is a company in China because I can't afford American-made products. I wish I could. Much rather sell American-made products, but you know, it'd be like 3 times the cost, and I don't think anybody would buy it if I had it made in America. But yeah, Gear, stay in touch with me. I may have some ideas I may need your help on. I would love to get some advice. When it comes out, you know, take a look at it. I mean, the design phase is already done, so when it comes out, you know, take a look at it. If you know of improvements on it, let me know, and I'll be happy to listen. All right, Russell says, so for hard-boiled quail eggs, how long do you boil? Where are we at here? Oh, Rebecca. Rebecca gave me a $2 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Rebecca. I appreciate that. All right, as far as boiling eggs, 4 minutes. That's really all it takes to hard-boil a quail egg. I wait till the water gets boiling. I throw them in, stir them around a little bit for a minute to kind of keep the yolk, you know, kind of centered and not stuck to one side. And after 4 minutes, they're done. All right, I'm missing, I'm having a hard time finding it. Chickens, I love chicken. Oh, Baby Coco loves chicken, so yeah, Baby Coco, you'd probably like rabbit too. Armed American says, beef and lamb heroes. That's what he's selling at the seafood shack. That doesn't sound very seafoody to me, but hey, who knows? All right, Kira says, oh yes, my baby quail was being dry and, oh, okay, was being dry and did survive, but unfortunately, they letting go one corner and it causes the baby quail being trampled under the other quails. Okay, your birds, I think I'm understanding, Kira, and I remember your comment about the bird that got wet. What do you do about it? I remember that. I'm glad to hear that it dried out and it was doing fine. Generally, if your birds are all crowding to one corner, it's probably like the furthest away from the heat light, or it's right under the heat light. Either way, it's an indicator that your temperature is wrong in your brooder. If they're all way away from the heat lamp on the other side of the brooder, raise your heat lamp up a little bit, and your brooder will cool out, and they should be all kind of spread out all over the place. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to take the camera and I'm going to point it at the brooder box here. Sorry, shake some sand off there. If I can get it tilted right, there we go. There's a brooder box there. You see how the birds are kind of all over the place? They're not just all crowded. Well, they are mostly on one side right now, but they weren't just a minute ago. They were all kind of spread out. But you can see they're not really like, you know, just over in that one corner. I probably need to move my light a little bit away from it too. They're starting to warm up. But anyway, you get the idea. Move your light a little bit further away, cool it down. If they are, this is gonna be shaky for a minute while I get the camera back in where it needs to go. All right, hopefully we're good. All right, if they are on under the heat lamp, move it a little bit closer to the brooder box, warm it up, and that will kind of help them acclimate a little bit better, and you won't have those problems. All right, Samuel Beasley says, we pickled a bunch of quail eggs, and they were delicious. Have you ever tried that? I have tried that. Everybody tells me pickled eggs are so good. I didn't like them at all. It's the first time I'd ever had pickled eggs. I don't know if I used a bad recipe. It was almost like a texture thing kind of. They were very similar to like a pickled sausage, which was just weird in an egg to me. So who knows? I may try it again, see how they go. I would say I see this quite frequently is people want to start pickling quail eggs and then selling them. Don't do that. And I'll tell you why. Hang on. There is no approved recipe to can pickled eggs at home. You would have to do it in a pressure canner, first of all, but there's no way to really safely can them at home. And botulism is a real threat in pickled eggs. You can look it up, you can see what I'm talking about and get all the details of it. But botulism is no joke. It's one of those things that you can't smell it, you can't taste it, but if you get botulism in your food, you'll probably die. It's one of the most toxic poisons on earth. So really you want to stay away from, if you're going to pickle eggs, don't pickle them, don't stick them on the shelf. Pickle them, put them in the fridge, eat them within 30 days. That's the only way to do it. All right, where are we at? Armed American says, not a seafood shack at home. Oh, at home you're having beef and lamb heroes. Okay, gotcha. That makes more sense. I don't really like lamb all that much. It's one of my least favorite meats, but I don't know, I'm a weirdo. Imagine, Armed American says, I'm all seafooded out. I crave red meat, I dream about steak. I can imagine if you ran a seafood restaurant, you'd probably be pretty sick of seafood after a while. Russell says, Michelle, I wouldn't keep guineas with quail. I must have missed a question somewhere. Oh, there it is. Michelle Richards says, do you know if guinea birds and quails get on, or do you think they would fight? I would think the guineas would kill the quail. That's my guess. I think it's probably, they're much bigger birds than quail are, and there may be some diseases you have to worry about them transferring back and forth like there are with chickens and quail. I really don't know. I've never researched it, but I think it would be a bad idea. Just my opinion. All right, Billy Wiggins says, what do you feed your adult quail? My quail are 4 weeks old, still feeding starter grower. I feed all my birds starter. I feed all my birds a game bird starter crumble. From the day they go into the brooder box till the day I send them to the freezer or whatever, that's what they get, all of them. Armed American says, high protein game bird starter. Yep, that's pretty much it. Baby Coco says, who likes to dance the bird dance? I don't know what the bird dance is, but I can guarantee I won't be dancing it. I am not a dancer. I don't dance. All right. Armed American says, oh, I got that one already. Kira says, thank you for all the advice. I'll try to do that. Well, no problem, Kira. Hopefully that helps out. Good luck, and come back and let us know how it goes. All right, Judy Barrel says, I've got a question not pertaining to pickle in eggs, but I have about 40 babies hatch out, and I have 3 that acts like they can't walk, and they're almost 4 days old. Can you tell me what causes that? Okay, sounds very similar to splayed leg, which we talked about a little bit earlier. Usually that's caused by some kind of, they can't get traction on the floor that they're on. So a slick surface floor, like a newspaper just laid out, how it's kind of slick. Usually that's what causes that, or it can lead to that anyway. It can be genetic. You can have birds with genetic problems that just, that causes that. They're a little bit weak. It's very hard to fix. Of course, if they made it 4 days old already, that may not be the case. They may get over that just fine. Splayed leg, they're usually kind of, they got their legs out on the floor, and they just don't really walk around at all. They can't really get around on their their feet at all. You can, if you catch that quick and address it, you need to address it pretty quick. Think of it in the sense of, whenever you see like a baby deer or something like that born, you always see the mothers like nudging it, get up on your feet quick. Because for some reason, if they don't get up quick and don't get their legs working pretty quick, then they never do. So anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, how to fix that. Usually you find something like, you can build like stents for their legs or little Band-Aid type things that will make their legs stay straight, and that can help. But I found good luck with using like a piece of PVC about, yay tall, just a little bit taller than the bird is, and just a little bit, I don't know, 3/4 inch or whatever, small, so you can stick the bird down inside that, and his feet are on the ground. He can't put his legs out to the side because the PVC's there, and leave him in there for 6, 7, 8 hours, something like that. And then usually when I take that off, it works pretty well. Hopefully that kind of makes sense how I do that. If I ever get another one, I'll do a video on it. All right, hope that helped, Judy. All right, Baby Coco says, what are guinea? Oh, no, guinea, somebody else answers. Armed American says guinea, a type of fowl bird. Armed American says, male guineas pick a mate for life, and if she dies, then he dies alone. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that about guinea. Yep, it's a bird. All right. Armed American used to sell them at Chicky Poppins Poultry. I imagine you probably did. How are we doing on time? 41 minutes in. We got about 20 minutes left. What else you guys want to talk about? Chat kind of died down on us again. Yeah, Michelle, I didn't know that about guineas either, that they picked a mate for life. Interesting. There's a couple of birds that do that. Pigeons, I will tell you this story real quick. I was browsing Craigslist area, and I came across somebody selling homing pigeons. And for a minute, I thought, that would be kind of cool to have some homing pigeons. Maybe my sister's got 2 young kids. She lives, I don't know, 10 miles away. Not even quite 10 miles, probably. And I thought that would be kind of neat. Set up, a place of hers, a place of mine. We could send messages back and forth with the homing pigeons. So yeah, I almost got into pigeons there for a little while. I talked myself out of it pretty quick, but it was not really much of a use for pigeons. Although squib is supposed to be fantastic, I've never tried it. All right, Baby Coco wants to talk about hamsters. Probably not today. P. Outdoorsman says, hey Chris, my wife and I love all your videos. Thank you. Oh, thanks to you, I have gotten my wife to like quail, and we can't wait to get a set of birds. You should do more rabbit and quail updates. God bless. Well, thank you so much, P. I appreciate that. I do, updates pretty much every week, and almost always include at least one quail, at least one rabbit video, one or the other, or sometimes both, every week. Just, kind of ran out of topics. Some of those are going to be repeat topics, so if you've been a long-time viewer and you've watched like my really old videos, you may see some of those topics starting to come back, because what I realized is, even though I've addressed it in video, I've got all kinds of new subscribers, and it's kind of hard to go back and look at old video. I mean, it's hard to find them. There's just not, YouTube's not the best for organizing video and making it an easy findable situation. So I'll probably readdress some of those topics in new videos for my newer subscribers, my newer viewers. So if you got something specific you want covered in a video, always let me know. Just leave me a comment on a video. Don't do it in the chat here, because the chat's gone once I get out of the live broadcast. But in the comments section, like after this video posts, or any video I post, leave a comment. I read pretty much every comment. Oh, let me say this too. If you ever gotten, like left a comment and didn't get a response from me, it's rare. I try to answer pretty much every comment. But there are a lot of them that get flagged for whatever reason as spam, and they go into a spam file, and I never see them. I could go in there and check that, but most of those are spam. So I don't really bother going to do that. So if you've left a comment and you don't see it in the comments list, or you never got a response to it, it may have got marked as spam. Leave the comment again, especially if you leave like a web link or something like that. That seems to kick off the spam filters a little more. Some web links come through just fine, but sometimes it kicks off the spam filters a little bit more. So I'm sorry if I haven't answered one of your comments on a video. I try, I do my best. All right. Russell says, neither did I. I have 4 1 roux and 3 hens. Neither did I what? I missed it. I'm not sure what we're talking about, Russell. I'm sorry, I forgot. Samuel says, have you ever been to poultry auction in Goodman, Missouri on Sundays. It's a fun time. They also sell rabbits. I didn't know they did a poultry auction in Goodman. Interesting. I may have to go down there. No, I've never been to that. There's a good poultry swap in Joplin, Turkey Creek Feed Poultry Swap, first Saturday of every month. Really good poultry swap. It's not an auction, but it's a really good poultry swap. Worth going to if you're in the area. All right. Marcy's Eco Village says, if your guinea lays eggs, find them. Much easier to catch eggs than baby guineas. Good point. Judy Barrel says, thank you. I will try it with a piece of pipe. I've been babying them for the only reason they have made it the last few days. Thanks. Okay, that makes sense because usually they don't survive long with that. Hopefully you can fix it. It may be too late, unfortunately, but hopefully you can. Who knows? Baby Coco says, "LO, it's okay. Hamsters are happy to chill with chill with you, Chris." I don't mind hamsters so much, but nah, not my deal anymore. All right, my happy place says 6-week-old quail seem happy with plenty of space, food, and water. Not laying. Another 3 weeks before realistically laying. Well, probably at least another 2. 6 weeks old is just right on the edge of when they can start laying. Most of the time it's going to be 7 or 8 weeks before they really start laying. Make sure they have enough light, 14 hours a day, and chances are, don't be moving them around a lot either. So, you know, put them in their cage, leave them alone, and give them a couple of weeks with light. They're going to probably start laying. Armed American says, quail usually lay within 8 to 10 weeks old. Oh, he's answering that question too. Michelle Richards did you change your glasses as you look different tonight? Oh, I did get new glasses. These are new. These are, oh, I don't know, a couple of months now I've had them. I took my wife canoeing, and I did something I have not done in 15 years. I flipped the boat, and we fell in the creek, and I lost my glasses. And it was kind of funny because I was fishing, and I went to cast out, and we're just sitting in perfectly still water. No, I mean, not even moving, just sitting. And I went to cast out, and my line caught, and it jerked my rod, and I dropped it in the creek, and I bent over real quick to grab it, not lose my rod, flipped the boat over, and we both went in the water. It was only about this deep. I mean, it wasn't like we got near drowning or anything, but only thing I lost was glasses, so I had to get new ones, but I got a new prescription anyway, so. All right, Marcy's Eco Village says, my guineas always free range and laid a clutch of 32 eggs. I've had a heck of a time for finding them. They blend into the landscape so well. I can imagine they do. Armed American says, he almost looks like an American flag. Redhead, white undershirt, blue outer shirt. Never thought about that. Is my head red? It shouldn't be red. But yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, I got a white undershirt on, blue shirt. I've got a flag, an American flag here somewhere. I just had it like 2 days ago. I don't know what I did with it. It's a little bitty pin, American flag. I was going to show it off, but oh well. All right. Michelle Richards says, my quail started at 5+ weeks. That's pretty early for quail to start laying. So congratulations on that, Michelle. All right. Bouvier Aaron, I guess, I don't know, says, hey, Chris, I have a tiny Tim quail. It is 12 days old and the size of a 3-day-old bird. Have you ever had this happen before? I have had runts in my birds before. Usually they don't make it very long. Usually 12 days is a long time for them to make it. They just can't, they don't seem to have the strength and be able to keep up, and they usually just die, unfortunately. But yeah, I get runts all the time. It's not uncommon at all. Michelle says, you had me cracking up with the boat flipping story. You know, the funniest part about that, they always say, if you want to test your relationship with like your spouse or whatever, take them on a canoe trip. That's a good test of how strong your relationship is. I've seen more people fighting on the rivers, going on canoe trips than anywhere in my life, I think. Anyway, so I reach over, I grabbed it, go to grab this rod. I had to reach quite a ways. The boat tilted a little bit, and before I knew it, we were in the water. Wife and me both, right? She actually apologized like it was her fault. No, it was totally my fault. It was pretty funny though. We got a good laugh out of it. It's a good part. Nobody came out there hating each other or nothing like that. We got a good laugh out of it. We had a good time. It's a good memory. All right. Armed American says hamsters usually have a pretty short life, but starts drooping. It's on its way out. I'm not sure what that means. If their butt starts drooping, it's on. Oh, if their butt, B-U-T-T, starts drooping, it's on its way out. Yeah, I imagine they don't live very long, that's for sure. All right, Samuel Beasley says, what creek were you in when you flipped? Well, I guess you're from the area, Samuel. I wonder if you can guess. It's not a clear creek. It flows backwards from most creeks. And it's got some good big fishing in it. Good big fish in it, and it's good fishing. See what you can guess. And being from around the Goodman area, or being familiar with Goodman anyway, you might be familiar with this river. It's a little bit further north. All right, Gear says, I know you did a video on this, but how bright does the artificial light need to be for the quails to lay? Mine is pretty dim. Well, Gear, it doesn't need to be super bright, but it does need to be bright enough to light things up a little bit. It doesn't I have some lights. You got it, Samuel. Shoal Creek, that was it. One of my favorite creeks. They're all my favorite, probably. So anyway, the light doesn't need to be super bright. I had some lights out there for a while that were just like, you could probably read in them if you had it this close to the light, I mean, like, you had to be pretty close to the light. It wasn't very bright at all, and that really wasn't that efficient. So it needs to be a little bit brighter than that, but it doesn't need to be super bright, like completely light the thing up. All right, Baby Coco says, some hamsters bite. Those that bite are dwarf hamsters, the tiny ones that look like normal hamsters. I'm familiar with what dwarf hamsters are. Yeah, I've seen hamsters seem to be worse about biting than any other rodent. All right, Armed American says, how many beers did you have before you flipped? Not a one. I don't actually drink when I'm fishing or on the river. I don't drink that much anyway. It's not uncommon for me to have a beer, but I don't drink that much. And I don't drink on the river. Dehydration's no fun. All right, Douglas says, have you ever heard of soaking your feed? Yes, I have. Fermenting your feed is usually why that's done. People want to ferment it. It's not something I subscribe to. I don't do it. Don't find it necessary, but it's a common practice. Lots of people do it. Armed American says, we used to canoe to go oyster shucking. Perfect for 2 bushels and 2 people. Yeah, I can imagine. I don't like oysters either, though. Let's see, Mind Wide Open says, I have a female rabbit who had a litter of 8 for the very first time. She ended up accidentally killing 4 by stepping on them. Is this normal for rabbits to do? I took the rest away and they are fine. I wouldn't say it's normal for rabbits to do that, but it's not that uncommon, especially for a first-time mom. Chances are it's a one-time thing. She probably won't do it again, and she'll probably be fine. All right, Armed American says, fermenting your feed is absolutely a great idea. Makes food last longer and birds healthier. I've heard that, but I don't know. I think that's kind of one of those apple cider vinegar things where it's like common, everybody believes it, but there's not really any scientific evidence behind it. And I'm not dogging you if you use apple cider vinegar. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I just don't bother with it. It's more work and not worth it in my opinion. All right. Uh-oh. Walt is at the grocery store with a poor connection and in a live broadcast with us. That's dedication. Appreciate that, Walt. We're getting close to the end in here anyway. I only got about another 5 minutes or so, and I'm going to wrap this up, go spend some time with my wife and family, and before I have to go to bed and get up and do it all over again. But tomorrow is Friday, so we got the weekend coming. Anybody got big plans for the weekend? No? I will tell you guys, in Missouri, it is finally raining. We've been in severe drought all season long, which is probably why I haven't done a lot more garden videos. The garden doesn't look that great, honestly. It's just been no water, and I use a sheet mulch system, so I'm pretty stingy with water. I don't water much at all, and the garden didn't really do that great this year. I just didn't have time, just didn't put much into it. But biggest thing, didn't water. But it's finally raining. We got quite a bit of rain over the last couple of days, so that's good. All right, Michelle says, do you just wet the food? And if so, how long? And if just water? Let's see, to do fermented food, I believe it is just watering it down. You probably want to water it. You're going to give it quite a bit of water though. Because it'll soak it up. And I'm not an expert on fermenting feed. You'd probably have to look up the instructions. I mean, I know the basics of it, but not. I don't know that I can tell you exactly how to do it. Not right now, anyway. All right, Baby Coco says, going to the pool, maybe on weekends. Nice. Deer season opens in tomorrow in Arizona. That's my big deer season opens in August. Wow, that's crazy. I guess we have our bow season that opens up in like September. I'm not a bow hunter. I'm a rifle hunter, so I got to wait till November, like towards the middle of November before I get to go hunting. So to me, it's still fishing season. It's still summertime. I don't know if I'll get any fishing in this weekend, but if I can, I'll do it. I'm afraid the water's going to be up though. All right, Chris Silver says, "Hey Chris, the hatch in the brooder beside you, one of your dry hatches." It was a dry hatch. Pretty good results out of this one. I put too much water in. I knew I was doing it. I don't know what I was thinking. Put too much water in at lockdown, and I lost a couple of birds in the brooder because the humidity was way too high. But, or excuse me, in the incubator because the humidity was way too high. But I had a pretty good hatch. I think I got 50 birds roughly out of, was it 70 eggs, 60 eggs, something like that. So pretty good hatch, not bad. And the mess up was really my fault. It had nothing to do with the dry hatch. It had to do with the lockdown procedure. I messed up there. All right. Gear says, "Chris, we need more quail cooking recipes." I need to do some more videos on cooking quail, don't I? Kira says, "In advance, I know my quail's still baby, but in the future, I'm planning to breed them. Do you have any video about breeding quails and how to take care of them and their eggs while they're in breeding?" Yeah, breeding quails is pretty easy. Just put a rooster in with 4 or 5 hens, and that's it. I mean, make sure they have enough light, and that's it. They're going to breed. So no problem. You don't have to do anything special. As far as keeping the eggs, I have a whole series. There's a playlist on my homepage for what I call storing and hatching eggs. Watch that, and it will tell you everything you need to know about storing the eggs when they're, when the birds are breeding, hatching the eggs out, everything you need. So hopefully that helps. All right, Walter, you have a good weekend as well, and thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. All right, Baby Coco wants to know, where do I work? Well, I'm not going to tell you the company I work for, but I do work for a call center. I'm an account manager for a call center. So, not exciting work. Chris Silver says, "So you left the incubator dry till the 3-day lockdown?" Yep, I left the incubator dry until lockdown and added water at that point. Kelly says, "Thanks for another great live feed, Chris and friends. It's always good to see Chris and all of you here on a Thursday evening. See you all next week." Thank you so much for the kind comments, Kelly, and thanks for joining us. Lance says, "It is archery open until the 13th again in December and January." You know, I need to become a bow hunter. I need to get a bow in order to do that, but need to become a bow hunter because, yeah, you got so much more season. So much more. Rifle, you get 2 weekends. That's it. I get like, it opens on a Saturday and it closes the following Sunday's the last day, or maybe it's Monday. But so basically you get 2 weekends. That's it. That's all my hunting, for deer anyway. Kelly says, "Hit the like before you leave tonight, friends." Well, thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that. Samuel Beasy says, "Got a good Korean barbecue marinade for quail." You've got one, you said. Well, share it with us. Let us know. Come back and do it in the comments afterwards so everybody can see it and it's not just lost in the chat. Oh, there we go. Armed American's talking about fermenting feed. Fully submerge it in water and wait 2 weeks and keep the lid on it. You probably do want to have it completely underwater because if you didn't, it would start to mold, I would think. So, good thinking. All right, Douglas says, "Love your what you do. I love your what you do. Thanks." Well, thank you very much, Douglas. I appreciate that. Michelle says, "How long can quails last without food and water? I'm going to Nevis," I don't know where that is, "for the weekend, and I will give lots of food, but they tend to eat all or scrabble out the food, so maybe out of food for a day." Out for 1 day is probably okay. Water's probably more important than food. If you leave them much longer than that, though, they're going to start turning on each other. They'll become cannibalistic like super quick. Quail are like crazy about their feed. But yeah, 1 day is probably fine. It's probably nothing to worry about. MML says, "Love your videos. Very helpful for my new rabbitry." Thank you. Thank you so much, MML. I appreciate that. Armed American says, "Not more than 3 days with no food or water." Yep, I would agree. Bouvier Aaron says, "I dispatched my first quail today and had someone tell me that I had to soak them in salt water. Is this true? I try to stay away from salt." Yeah, you don't have to soak them in anything. I dry age my meat. I personally believe that dry aging is the best way to do that, but it's just my personal opinion. don't have much behind it, but I dry age my meat. I just put them in a bowl, and you want to age them just until the rigor mortis leaves the meat, so they're not stiff anymore. And then they're fine to eat, to cook, you know, at that point, or throw in the freezer or whatever. All right. Hey, getting started. Thanks for coming by. Unfortunately, you're catching us right at the end. We're going to be closing this out. Thursday nights, 7 o'clock Central is the normal time for this. Sorry we missed you for the majority of the chat, but thanks for stopping by. Have a good weekend to you too, Doug. Armed American has a random comment. It says, quails poop a lot, although that's true. I imagine that's probably in response to something else because it's very random. All right, guys, I got to wrap this up. I got to quit looking at the chat or I'll never get out of here, and it's been an hour. So thank you all for coming and spending some time with me. Thank you for your comments that drive the live video every Thursday evening. Come back next week, share with your friends, have them come and join, and we'll have a good conversation. Thank you so much. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and we will see you next week. Take care.